I look cute. Oh my gosh. Okay. Hello, welcome to day 3 of Banned Book Week. So today we're going to be talking about Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl, written by Jessie Andrews. So this book was published in 2012, so this is going to be our newest book this week, most modern book this week. So this has been on my radar, much like yesterday's book. This one's been on my radar for a long time. But yeah, every year when Banned Book Week comes along, I have a long list of books to choose from, and some make the cut and some don't. So yeah, this year just this one's turn, and I am so glad I read this book. This is just, okay, all of my books this year, I'm not gonna lie. Oh no, not all. Beloved I did physically, but the other 4 I did on Audible. And Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl, I did in one sitting. I started it on Audible and I finished it in a couple hours. Like, okay, so on Audible I listen to my books at 1.6 speed, which according to my husband is too fast. But it works for me. So I started this book, I think it was a day where I just happened to have a day off from my second job, so I just had a morning to like go to the gym and clean, and so I started the book and I did not stop until the book was done. And it was, what a journey. I mean, I think this book is a journey anyway, but if you do it in one sitting, it's quite emotional and it's beautiful. This book is beautiful. So the book revolves around Greg Gaines, who is a senior in high school. This takes place in Pennsylvania. And he's kind of a loner. He only has really one friend, who's Earl, Earl Jackson, and Greg especially, but Earl supports him and he's kind of into it too. But Earl he really loves movies and he really wants to make movies one day, and I mean, that's just his, it kind of gave me like Goldberg vibes. Like, he just really wants to make movies. But then one day in his senior year, his mom is like, hey, that the girl that you kind of used to know back in like middle school, I think it was like Jewish class or something, but her name is Rachel, but his mom tells him that she's been diagnosed with leukemia, and like he should kind of re-strike up their friendship, like, don't you feel so bad? Like, you haven't talked to her in so long. You should, reach out to her. She has leukemia. Like, I don't know. It's just, like, I get where she's coming from, but like, I don't know. I know that's the last thing a high school boy wants to do. Anyway, so one day, he gets a text from Rachel saying that like she's gonna start chemotherapy, and so they reconnect and kind of start their friendship. And so Rachel kind of encourages like the making the movies and like him pursuing his dream, and so it's just like, the story is just kind of like their unlikely friendship and her support, and like he starts kind of falling back in like his studies, but he's also kind of finding a love in like this friendship and his dream of filmmaking, and he has this crush on this other girl at school named Madison, and Rachel convinces her to kind of check out this one movie that Greg made. And as Rachel gets more and more sick, Madison finally talks to Greg, and she's like, you know, you should make a movie for Madison. Madison talks to Greg and says, you should make a movie for Rachel since she's dying, you know? And so Greg kind of tries to make this movie of like people who know Rachel, like telling stories about her and all this stuff, and Rachel just keeps getting worse. And there's this moment. I'm sorry. I'm already emotional. And then this just makes me so sad. It's kind of like one of the Buffy moments when Buffy's mom dies and Anya has her meltdown. But they're sitting in the hospital when Rachel is like dying, and like, I mean, she's about to die, and Greg realizes all this time, I shouldn't have waited. I shouldn't have made a movie about all these people talking about Rachel. All this time I should have just been making a movie about Rachel while she was still here. And like him realizing like now he can't. Like there's no getting that back because she's about to die. And it's such a beautiful, heartbreaking moment. Because we as humans, we live our days every day. Sorry, I was not expecting this. Obviously, I'm going through some stuff. Man, it looks so cute too, and I can't stop crying. But we live every day not realizing that we're gonna wish we he finished. It deals with regret very authentically. Let's just say that. And it captures it very well. So a few days after the screening, after Rachel sees it and everything, the film he made like about Rachel, Rachel passes away, and it's just kind of goes over, you know, him dealing with her death and trying to move on, and, you know, realizing that, you know, there's a lot of different love, like different kinds of love, and he loved Rachel very much. And even though it was never a romantic love, which I think he kind of only expected to feel for teenage girls in high school, it was a very different kind of love. And so it's a very beautiful book, with some, I mean, not very beautiful parts in it, but it's beautifully authentic, and real. And I honestly, that's why it got banned. Wow. 10 minutes later, let's whew, that's not what I was expecting today. Alright, so why was Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl banned? Despite that, it's very beautiful and real. So it was considered pornographic, sexually explicit, and degrading to women. Let's dive into that. And so it was banned and challenged in 2022 and 2023. Probably before that. I just didn't find any mention of it. I honestly believe they waited 10 years to challenge this book. And it was removed from several schools. But with language and accurate depictions of the mind and vocabulary of your average teenage boy, I would say yes. This is a high school book. Yeah, I would say don't put it in a middle school or maybe even a junior high, but have this in high schools. Definitely have this in high schools. It's such a beautiful book. It's, like I said, it's beautifully and horribly authentic. You may not like or 100% empathize with the main character 100% of the time. But this book is so funny and relatable and real. It does not hold back any punches when it comes to the mind of a teenage boy. It talks about masturbation and sex and, any stray thought that would come into the mind of a teenage boy. So, I get it. Like, some parents who might have read it might have been like, probably the moms, honestly, because it's like, yeah, your sons think that stuff too, ma'am. Just saying. But I highly recommend this book. And honestly, I have cried more today over this book than I did when initially reading it. Because I read this several weeks ago when life was a little easier. But yeah, just I highly recommend this book. It's lovely and very real. And yeah, I don't know if the author went through something similar, but if he didn't, he is a phenomenal writer because, wow. When you are dealing with loss, you think all these things. I swear to God, they know when I'm filming. But yeah, when you're dealing with loss, you just every single thought of like regret and if I could just go back and do this different or that different, it's all there. So yeah, I highly recommend this book. It was one of my favorite. This band book week was so good, with the exception of the first book. I can't explain like how much I loved this band book week. I'm so excited for the next 2 days. You have no idea. It's gonna be. I'm just so excited. So, all right, let me know what you guys thought. Have you read Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl? Would you read it? Let me know down in the comments below your thoughts and feelings. Obviously, I had a lot. Alright, I love you guys so much, and I will see you tomorrow.